Hey guys, I'm Hop. Thanks for tuning in to TFBTV. I'm out at the range today with the brand new Smith & Wesson M&P Tactical 2. The Tactical series are fairly high-end rifles as far as Smith & Wesson AR-15s go, and the newest version has a couple of modernizations over the outgoing one. Although modern means something different to Smith & Wesson than I think it does to most people. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but for now, let's take a closer look at it. Let's go over the configuration of this rifle as it comes out of the box. My favorite way to do that is always from the ground up, starting with the receiver set. This is a standard mil-spec style upper and lower, made out of forged aluminum. No weird fancy billet stuff going on here. Lower parts kit is fairly standard mil-spec style, although it does have an ambidextrous safety selector. Bolt catch is not ambidextrous, however. The trigger is a flat bladed trigger. Looks a little fancy, but inside still totally mil-spec, very mil-spec pull weight and feel. We've got a standard carbine receiver extension, end plate castle nut. That's all staked, as you would hope. Inside is a normal carbine spring and a 3-ounce carbine buffer. Again, very, very standard. The stock is a Magpul CTR. I still think that's pretty much the best stock you can get for a carbine AR. Definitely the best stock that Magpul makes. The grip is the Smith & Wesson in-house grip that I think is supposed to mimic the look and feel of their M&P 2 pistol series. This does have a very aggressive sandpaper texture. It's also got swappable back straps for a different feel depending on how you like it. Does not have a storage compartment. Kind of looks like it would, but there's nothing in there. As far as the upper goes, this comes with a Radian Raptor ambidextrous charging handle out of the box. That's a pretty sweet feature. Otherwise, very standard bolt carrier group, mil-spec standard, staked gas key, nothing really going on there. As far as the barrel goes, this is a 16-inch mid-weight profile, so a little bit lighter than classic government profile. It's got a mid-length gas system. The handguard is a 15-inch free-float M-lock. It's got a full length of Picatinny on the top, and then M-lock on the 3, 6, and 9. The diagonals are just ventilation relief cuts, no M-lock on there. And the muzzle device at the end is Smith & Wesson's birdcage flash hider. Kind of looks similar in appearance and similar in performance to an A2 birdcage, although it's significantly longer for reasons I don't fully understand. This gun is optics ready out of the box, but it also is optics equipped, sort of. Comes with a set of Magpul M-Bus backup sights. So it's nice that you can shoot this thing out of the box and you don't have to buy your own backup sights after you put an optic on there. The way that I have this configured right now is with a loopholed LCO red dot and a standard Vickers sling. This rifle's really only 50% sling capable out of the box. There are ambidextrous QD cups on the CTR stock. However, there's no provisions on the handguard for mounting any sort of sling swivel. So I'm just using one of these little Blue Force Gear quick clip things. And I also looped the sling through the stock just because I ran out of QD swivels. All right, let's talk a little bit more about how this gun actually performs.
Wow, thanks Hop at the Range. That was very informative and boring. Based on that description, you're probably thinking this is a pretty basic rifle, and you're correct. The Smith & Wesson M&P15 Tactical 2 is an unadventurous rifle by the standards of the market, and I haven't even told you the price point yet because I'm saving that for the big stone cold stunner at the end. Let's take it slow and run the ropes for a bit instead. There was a time when free-float handguards, lightweight profile barrels, and mid-length gas systems were really pushing the envelope, but I don't think most of our audience was even old enough to buy guns back then. Smith & Wesson, as a company, is not in the business of pushing the envelope. The M&P Sport 2 is a creaking dinosaur of a rifle. Smith has been selling that old-school configuration for what seems like decades now, and the number of Sport 2s in the back of police cruisers probably outnumbers 12-gauge shotguns at this point. The M&P15 Tactical 2 is significantly more modern. If the Sport 2 is straight out of 2004, the Tactical 2 is, well, straight out of 2014. So, that's not bad. The feature list of the Tactical 2 reads like a boilerplate post on Reddit recommending a My First AR build. Hardcore AR platform nerds like you and me are preoccupied with highly specialized builds, like 11.5s and SPRs. And don't forget the clone builders obsessively recreating all the faults and idiosyncrasies of rifles even the US military won't use anymore. The Tactical 2 is that old-school ideal of the civilian patrol rifle, equally at home in the trunk of a police interceptor, or as baby's first home defense rifle. You can put a scope on it, you can put a red dot on it. Until the NFA fucks off and dies, 16 inches is still the best all-around barrel length for an AR. A 16-inch barrel with a mid-length gas system typically creates a smooth-shooting rifle, and that's the case with the M&P15 T2. And with that effortless segue, we're actually talking about the gun again. The medium weight barrel profile also cuts unneeded weight off the front of the gun. Government contour barrels were a bad idea even before we started covering them up with free-float handguards. Speaking of effortless segues, I really like the handguard on this rifle. The 15-inch free-float M-LOK rail feels excellent. It's very trim, but still solid. A 15-inch rail on a 16-inch barrel lets you push accessories like lights and lasers as far forward as possible, while still giving you room to mount tape switches up on top, sling mounts on the sides, and have room left over for your support hand. I'm almost out of nice things to say about the TAC-2, and I'm running out of ways to shorten the name, so let's press onwards. I like the use of the Magpul CTR stock instead of a cheaper placeholder, and the inclusion of Magpul backup sights. The Radian Raptor charging handle is also an awesome feature. It's probably the nicest part on the gun. Some aspects of this rifle are puzzling though. The funky pistol grip is clearly intended to demonstrate brand DNA with the M&P 2.0 pistols. I like the super aggressive texture, I like the vertical angle, and the multiple included backstraps give you some flexibility with grip shape, but I would still rather have a Magpul K2. The grip reminds me of the factory furniture on Daniel Defense rifles. It's like it's kind of worse than basic Magpul stuff, but it does give you that feeling of exclusivity that you don't get with Magpul furniture. It's a way to stand out among the crowded wall of basic black ARs in the gun shop. The basic mil-spec controls on the TAC-2 also leave a bit to be desired. The rifle has an ambi selector but no ambi bolt drop or mag release. It just feels a little half-assed. I don't need those features, but when I tell you how much this rifle costs at the end of the video, you're going to see why I'd like them to be included. The same goes for the gas block, which is a clamp-on instead of set screws with a dimpled barrel. It's well protected from impact by the handguard, but still, why? And as mentioned in the intro, I don't really like the flash hider Smith uses on their rifles. It's really long and heavy for what amounts to a birdcage flash hider. None of these issues are deal breakers, but the trigger might be. The Swimp 1.5 T2 has the worst trigger I've ever felt, ever, on an AR. I'm the furthest thing from a trigger snob, and I hate it. The flat face trigger is writing checks the mil-spec internals can't cash. This is a shockingly bad trigger. It feels very creepy and rough. You can pull it part of the way and it'll get stuck, and you can feel the surfaces grinding against each other the whole way. If you take a peek inside the lower, it honestly looks like the trigger assembly is a totally unfinished casting. It's so bad I'm almost hoping it's a mistake. The trigger really sours the experience of shooting this rifle, especially when you consider how much it costs. MSRP on the S&W AMP15 and Tactical N2 is $1,370. That is an outrageous price, but the street price will probably be lower. I just can't find this rifle for sale anywhere online right now. Let's be very generous and say the street price will be about $1,000. I'm not sure I'd even pay $1,000 for this rifle because it needs too much work out of the box. The trigger absolutely needs to go, and I wouldn't keep the grip or muzzle device. These wouldn't be difficult or expensive upgrades to make. Ballpark $100 for a good trigger, $20 for the Magpul grip of your choosing, and free $99 for an A2 birdcage. Seriously, if your local gun shop likes you well enough, they'll probably just give you one. With a few tweaks, the M&P15 T2 becomes a really nice, albeit no-frills rifle, but I don't think it earns the MSRP of nearly $1,400. There are a lot of other factory rifles at this price point that offer so much more and won't need any replacement parts out of the box. Given the brand appeal of Smith & Wesson and what I assume will be some hefty volume discounts, these rifles are destined to find their way into a ton of patrol cars, and they'll do just fine there. As for you and me, we'll keep doing what proud Redditors have been doing since 2015, putting a BCM Recce 16 upper on an Aero M4 lower and calling it a day. Thanks for watching, guys. TFBTV is supported by our sponsors, Ventura Munitions and Top Gun Supply. We are also supported directly by our viewers like you via Subscribestar and Patreon. You can find links to both of those in the video description. We would really appreciate your support, but if you don't want to give us money, you can always support us by subscribing, liking the video, sharing it around. That's the only way this channel will grow, and when we hit 2 million subscribers, James promised to give my pet rabbit back alive and unharmed. See you guys next time.
Say something to the camera.
Cool.